Richest person ever, Mansa Musa. You think Bezos is rich? Musk? Nope. This guy made them look broke 700 years ago. Mansa Musa was the emperor of the Mali Empire in the 14th century, and by many historical estimates, he was the richest human in history. How rich? Adjusting for inflation, his wealth was estimated at over $400 billion. That's nation-scale rich. As in, you could buy entire countries and still have enough left over to build pyramids in the backyard. He controlled the world's largest gold-producing region during a time when gold was basically the backbone of the global economy. Mali sat on top of massive gold mines, and Musa turned that into influence, power, and pure, incomprehensible wealth. But what really put him on the map, literally, was his pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324. He brought tens of thousands of people, camels carrying literal tons of gold. So much money that when he passed through Egypt, he accidentally tanked their economy for a decade by flooding it with gold. Think about that. The man just rolled through a foreign country and caused inflation. European mapmakers didn't even know much about West Africa, but after that pilgrimage, they were drawing Mansa Musa on thrones made of gold on their charts. He wasn't just rich, he was a walking economic earthquake. Largest single-day wealth loss, Elon Musk. Imagine waking up and losing more money than most countries have. That's exactly what happened to Elon Musk. On November 8, 2022, Elon Musk lost $182 billion in net worth in one single day. Let that sink in. To put that into perspective, that's more than the GDP of Ukraine, Morocco, or Hungary. It's more than the entire value of companies like Starbucks or Nike. It's over 6,000 years of average US salary gone in a day. So, what happened? It was the perfect financial storm. Tesla's stock price dropped sharply amid concerns about Musk selling shares to finance his Twitter acquisition. Investors got nervous, media coverage exploded, the stock dipped even further, and because Musk's net worth is so heavily tied to Tesla's market value, every tick downward meant billions erased from his personal fortune. Important detail, he didn't literally lose that much cash. It was mostly paper wealth. Here's the twist. Even after losing that much, Musk was still one of the richest people on Earth. By the way, I'm going to be posting a lot here, so it would mean a lot if you subscribed and dropped a like for the algorithm. Most expensive object ever built, International Space Station. You know those world's most expensive lists with yachts, jets, or private islands? Yeah, forget all of that. The most expensive thing humans have ever built is literally floating above your head right now. The International Space Station. Cost? Over $150 billion. The ISS is a giant space laboratory orbiting 250 miles above Earth, traveling 17,000 miles per hour. It's the size of a football field, weighs over 400 tons, and took over 30 missions and more than a dozen countries to assemble. It's like a luxury penthouse that orbits the Earth every 90 minutes. Who paid for it? Primarily the US and Russia, along with contributions from the European Space Agency, Japan, and Canada. NASA alone spent around $100 billion. Here's what makes it so expensive: decades of research, design, and testing. Hundreds of rocket launches to deliver modules and parts. Astronaut salaries, training, and life support systems. Constant upkeep, it needs regular resupplies and maintenance flights. But it's not just a fancy science project. The ISS has hosted over 250 astronauts and thousands of experiments, from cancer research to testing how plants grow in microgravity. Still, if you ever feel bad about spending too much money, just remember someone signed off on a $150 billion orbital Lego set. Biggest Ponzi scheme, Bernie Madoff. If financial scams had a Hall of Fame, Bernie Madoff would have a statue. Here's what happened. For decades, Madoff claimed to be running a legitimate investment fund that delivered steady, market-beating returns, year after year in bull markets and crashes alike. But behind the curtain, it was a lie. Instead of actually investing clients' money, he paid old investors with money from new ones. Classic Ponzi structure. The kind that only works if the money keeps flowing in. How big was it? $65 billion in fake profits. $19 billion in real investor principal lost. Thousands of victims, from hedge funds to charities to retirees. A 150-year prison sentence. Madoff's scam ran for over 20 years. People trusted him because he was a former NASDAQ chairman, well-connected and respected. The whole thing unraveled in 2008 when the financial crisis hit and too many investors tried to pull their money at once. There was nothing there. It was one of the biggest betrayals in financial history. If something sounds too good to be true, even if it comes from someone in a fancy suit, it probably is. Highest inflation ever, Zimbabwe. Imagine going to the store and finding out the price of bread doubled since yesterday. That was life in Zimbabwe in the late 2000s. Hyperinflation isn't just prices rising fast, it's the economy setting itself on fire. And Zimbabwe holds the record for the worst of it. At its peak in November 2008, Zimbabwe's monthly inflation rate hit 79.6 billion%. Prices doubled every 24 hours. Workers got paid twice a day just so they could buy food before the money lost more value. People carried money in backpacks, not wallets, and it still wasn't enough. The government kept printing money to pay off debt and fund expenses. But the more they printed, the less it was worth. Eventually, Zimbabwe had to issue a $100 trillion bill, which still couldn't buy a full tank of gas. In 2009, Zimbabwe officially abandoned its own money and switched to foreign currencies just to keep the economy alive. Most expensive divorce, Jeff Bezos. They say love is priceless, but divorce, apparently not. In 2019, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos finalized his divorce from Mackenzie Scott, and it became the most expensive divorce settlement in history. The cost? $38 billion. And here's the thing, they split amicably. No court battles, no dramatic headlines. At the time, Jeff Bezos was worth around $140 billion. Under the terms of the divorce, Mackenzie Scott received 25% of their shared Amazon stock. She instantly became one of the richest women in the world. She's donated over $14 billion to charities. Highest stock price, Berkshire Hathaway. You think a $1,000 stock is expensive? Try $700,000. That's the ballpark for Berkshire Hathaway's Class A shares, the investment company run by Warren Buffett. It holds the record for the highest publicly traded stock price in history. Why so high? Simple. Buffett never split the stock. Most companies split their shares to make them more affordable. He wanted long-term investors. Berkshire Hathaway owns or holds massive stakes in Apple, Coca-Cola, Bank of America, Dairy Queen. Yes, ice cream is part of the empire. No gimmicks, no splits, no meme stock hype. Just compounding returns for decades. Buy great businesses, hold them forever, and let time do the work. Largest corporate fine, Bank of America. If you ever got hit with a $50 overdraft fee and thought, this feels excessive, well, Bank of America got fined $16.65 billion. In 2014, the U.S. Department of Justice announced the largest corporate fine in history, slapping Bank of America with a $16.65 billion penalty over its role in the 2008 financial crisis. What did they do? They, along with subsidiaries like Countrywide and Merrill Lynch, sold billions of dollars in mortgage-backed securities that were, to put it nicely, garbage. These were home loans packaged together and sold to investors as safe. But many of the loans were high risk, poorly underwritten, or downright toxic. When the housing market crashed, so did the value of those investments. So the government stepped in with what was basically a financial sledgehammer. This wasn't just a slap on the wrist. It was the largest civil settlement with a single company in U.S. history. Highest lottery jackpot, Powerball, 2022. What's the biggest lottery prize ever won? Try $2.04 billion. Officially, the largest lottery jackpot in history. For weeks, no one matched all 6 numbers. As the jackpot rolled over again and again, the prize ballooned. Millions of people bought tickets, sometimes dozens at a time. The hype built up so much that the final drawing was even delayed because of overwhelming ticket volume. Then, on November 7th, 2022, someone in Altadena, California, hit all 6 numbers and became a billionaire overnight. The advertised jackpot, $2.04 billion. The lump sum cash option, before taxes, about $997 million. After federal taxes and California's no state tax on lottery winnings, the winner likely walked away with around $630 to $700 million. The odds of winning, 1 in 292.2 million. Biggest crypto theft, Ronin hack. In crypto, you're your own bank, which means when someone breaks in, there's no refund. And in March 2022, hackers pulled off the biggest crypto theft in history, $625 million stolen from the Ronin network. Ronin is a blockchain that powers Axie Infinity, a popular play-to-earn game where players battle cartoon creatures and earn tokens. The game was so successful that its in-game economy was worth billions at its peak. To handle all those transactions, the developers created a sidechain called Ronin to reduce fees. But in doing so, they also introduced a vulnerability. Here's how the hack went down. Ronin used just 9 validator nodes to secure the network, instead of thousands like Bitcoin or Ethereum. The hackers gained control of 5 of them, the minimum needed to approve transactions. Then, they quietly withdrew 173,600 Ethereum and 25.5 million USDC. Total value at the time, $625 million. The scariest part? No one noticed, for 6 days. Eventually, the hack was traced to the Lazarus Group, a North Korean state-sponsored cybercrime organization. Ronin's team later raised funds to repay users, and the network beefed up security. But the damage was done. Most expensive artwork, Salvator Mundi. How much would you pay for a painting? In 2017, someone paid $450.3 million for one. Here's the backstory. Salvator Mundi, which means Savior of the World, is a portrait of Christ holding a crystal orb. It was painted around the year 1500 and for centuries was lost. In 2005, it was bought at an estate sale for just $1,175 because no one thought it was a real Da Vinci. But after years of restoration and expert review, it was declared authentic. In 2017, it went to auction at Christie's in New York, $450.3 million. The buyer? Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia. This Da Vinci might now be hanging in a yacht. Biggest annual corporate profit? Saudi Aramco. Some companies break records with revenue, others with market value. Saudi Aramco? It broke records with straight-up profit. In 2022, the Saudi state-owned oil giant posted the largest annual corporate profit in history, $161 billion. Profit. That's more than Apple, Google, Meta, and Amazon combined. It's roughly $4.5 million in profit every hour of the year. So how did they do it? Oil prices spiked in 2022, and Saudi Aramco, one of the world's lowest-cost oil producers, was perfectly positioned to capitalize. With oil hovering around $100 per barrel, Aramco printed money faster than central banks. But here's the kicker. Most of that profit goes straight to the Saudi government, which owns over 94% of the company. That money isn't just sitting in bank accounts. It funds entire cities. Highest government debt ever, U.S. national debt. If debt were a country, the U.S. would be its emperor. The United States holds the record for the largest government debt in history, over $36 trillion and counting. If you paid $1 per second, it would take over 1 million years to pay it off. So how did it get here? Wars, tax cuts, stimulus packages, interest payments, and politics. Lots of politics. The U.S. borrows money by issuing treasury bonds. That's why it can carry so much debt without defaulting. But as the debt grows, so do the risks. Interest payments now exceed the entire defense budget. Political fights over the debt ceiling have brought the government to the brink of shutdown more than once. And yet, the dollar remains the world's reserve currency. It's the ultimate paradox. Biggest bank heist, $1 billion. Iraq, 2003. Most heists involve ski masks, getaway cars, and a risky plan. This one? It just took a handwritten note. In March 2003, hours before the U.S. invasion of Iraq, someone walked into the Central Bank of Iraq in Baghdad and withdrew $1 billion in cash. No alarms, no weapons. Just a sealed letter, reportedly signed by Saddam Hussein himself, instructing bank staff to hand over the money. And they did. 3 trucks were loaded with shrink-wrapped bricks of US dollars. The order was supposedly for Saddam's son, Qusay Hussein. Some of the money was later recovered hidden in palace walls and underground bunkers, but a large portion vanished. And since it happened in the chaos of war, There was no real investigation, just one guy with absolute power emptying a country's reserves on his way out. Youngest self-made billionaire, Kylie Jenner, age 21. Becoming a billionaire is rare. Doing it before 30, almost unheard of. But Kylie Jenner did it at 21, becoming the youngest self-made billionaire ever, according to Forbes in 2019. Kylie didn't build rockets, start a tech company, or inherit a global empire. She built a cosmetics brand, Kylie Cosmetics, using her name, her face, and her massive social media following. She launched with just $250,000 worth of product and sold out in minutes. In 2019, she sold 51% of Kylie Cosmetics to Coty for $600 million, valuing the company at $1.2 billion. Boom, billionaire status. Critics debated the self-made label, given her family's fame and resources. But there's no denying, she turned celebrity into capital faster than anyone before her. Largest single stock gain in a day, Nvidia at $190 billion, 2024. Most stocks rise or fall a few percent in a day. Nvidia? It made $190 billion in market value in 24 hours. It happened in February 2024 when Nvidia released its earnings report and blew Wall Street's collective mind. Revenue smashed expectations, driven by AI chip demand. Profits more than doubled year over year. At the opening bell, Nvidia was already huge, around $1.7 trillion in market cap. By the closing bell, it was nearly $1.9 trillion. In one trading session, it added more value than the GDP of Hungary, the entire worth of Intel, or the total market cap of McDonald's and Starbucks combined. Nvidia makes GPUs, graphics processing units, and their chips are the backbone of artificial intelligence infrastructure. Think ChatGPT, autonomous vehicles, data centers, all powered by Nvidia silicon. Investors didn't just see a strong quarter, they saw the foundation of the AI future and piled in. Most expensive domain name ever, cars.com, $872 million. Most people buy a domain name for $10. In 2015, Cars.com bought one for $872 million. The domain was cars.com. Yes, they paid nearly $1 billion for a URL they already used. Let's explain. Cars.com was spun off from its parent company. As part of the accounting process, they needed to assign value to every asset on the books. The domain name alone, just the website address, was valued at $872 million. Think about it. Cars is one of the most expensive keywords on Google Ads. Millions of people type it into search engines every month. Having Cars.com gives you automatic SEO dominance, brand trust, and authority. No other domain, not Hotels.com, not even Insurance.com, has been appraised higher. Fastest wealth accumulation, Sam Altman, $50 billion plus in under 12 months. Most billionaires climb the ladder over decades. Sam Altman took the elevator. In 2023, the CEO of OpenAI went from wealthy tech founder to one of the richest people on Earth, gaining over $50 billion in net worth in less than a year. How? 2 words: artificial intelligence. OpenAI exploded into the mainstream. While Altman himself didn't own equity in OpenAI LP, here's the twist. He was closely tied to a for-profit arm and had massive equity in companies like WorldCoin, his crypto identity project, and most notably, a multi-billion-dollar stake in the OpenAI chip venture with Microsoft and others. As AI's value skyrocketed, so did the valuation of everything Altman touched. Most expensive real estate sale, Antilia, $4 billion. Forget penthouses and private islands. The most expensive home on Earth is a skyscraper. It's called Antilia, a 27-story, 400,000 square foot private residence in Mumbai, India. And it's worth up to $4 billion. Owned by Mukesh Ambani, Asia's richest man and head of Reliance Industries, built on one of the most expensive plots of land in the world. This vertical palace includes 3 helipads, a private movie theater, a 50-seat ballroom, an ice room that literally snows indoors, a garage for 168 cars, and a full staff of over 600 people for one family. Architecturally, it's designed to withstand an 8.0 magnitude earthquake. When you include land costs, custom design, imported materials, and tech systems, real estate analysts estimate Antillia's replacement cost at over $4 billion, making it the priciest residential property ever sold, built, or owned. Most money donated in a lifetime, Warren Buffett, $60 billion plus. As of 2024, Buffett has donated over $60 billion to charity. That's not a pledge. That's money already given, and he's still going. The majority of his donations have gone to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, billions more to his own family foundations. He's pledged to donate over 99% of his wealth by the end of his life. Buffett's approach to philanthropy mirrors his investment style: long-term, compounding, low cost. Fastest bankruptcy: FTX, $32 billion lost in 3 days. It took Lehman Brothers 158 years to collapse. FTX did it in 72 hours. In November 2022, the crypto exchange, once valued at $32 billion, filed for bankruptcy in the most sudden implosion in tech history. FTX was run by Sam Bankman-Fried, the 30-year-old founder who branded himself as a math genius, crypto visionary, and philanthropic billionaire. He wore t-shirts, played video games during interviews, and claimed to be making money to give it away. The world believed him. At its peak, FTX was the second largest crypto exchange, backed by celebrities, hedge funds, and even major governments. But behind the scenes, it was a house of cards. A leaked balance sheet showed FTX had loaned billions in customer funds to its sister company, Alameda Research, a massive conflict of interest. Panic spread. Users rushed to withdraw billions. FTX froze withdrawals. In just 3 days, the company went from crypto empire to bankrupt. Fastest billion-dollar company, Jet.com, 2015. Most startups dream of hitting a $1 billion valuation someday. Jet.com did it in 4 months. Launched in July 2015, Jet was an e-commerce startup aiming to take on Amazon, and within 120 days, it reached unicorn status with a $1.3 billion valuation. Jet was founded by Mark Lohr, a veteran of the e-commerce world who had previously sold diapers.com to Amazon. His new pitch was bold: lower prices than Amazon. Dynamic pricing based on what you bought and how it shipped. Membership-based savings, kind of like Costco meets Prime. Investors bought into the vision. Jet raised $820 million in its first year, but the real twist came in 2016, when Walmart, trying to keep up in the e-commerce arms race, acquired Jet for $3.3 billion. Jet's core platform was eventually shut down in 2020, but its DNA lived on inside Walmart's digital transformation. Most expensive drug ever, Zolgensma, $2.1 million per dose. In the world of medicine, most expensive means cutting edge and jaw-dropping. Zolgensma holds the record as the most expensive drug in the world, with a single dose costing $2.1 million. Approved by the FDA in 2019, Zolgensma treats spinal muscular atrophy, a rare genetic disorder that causes muscle wasting in infants. Without treatment, SMA is often fatal before age 2. It's a one-time gene therapy, ideally stopping the disease before it progresses. The science is incredible. Here's what makes it so expensive. It's manufactured individually for each patient. The condition is ultra-rare, so there's almost no economy of scale. Research and development costs were enormous. The drug's maker, Novartis, offers payment plans and outcomes-based guarantees. Can you put a price on saving a life? If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here, so it would mean a lot if you subscribed. Thanks for watching.